All right. Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna get started, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully more people join in. My name is Jackie Charlesworth, and I am the owner and director of Jump for Joy Preschool and Kindergarten. I'm located in Ogden, and I've been doing this for about 17 years or so. I'm never sure on the math, but I think it's something like that. I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I went to college at Arizona State University, where I got my degree from. I'm now currently in Utah. On the personal side, I have 3 young adults, children, and they are traveling the world. 2 of them live out of the country, and 1 is currently in Hawaii, I believe. And so they get to live all of my dreams by getting the opportunity to travel and do all the fun things. And this is
I'm going to jump in and interrupt just for a second. You have a couple people. Would you like me to promote them to panelists so that you can see them and talk to them? That is an option.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, Pam and Alyssa, I'm going to promote you. So you're going to be
Yay.
able to participate fully.
Did you
There's my workarounds.
Not yet. Oh, look. Oh, it's Elisa. Hi, Elisa.
It says here.
Okay. They have to accept that invitation, but okay. As if there's more people come in, I'm just going to promote them. Okay.
Sounds
All
great.
right.
Okay.
Sorry. Finish your introduction.
Kimberly.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
All right, great. Okay, well, this is Tara Lee Beams, and I'll let her introduce herself really quick.
Okay. So I'm Tara Lee. I graduated from Weber State University with a bachelor's degree in early childhood in 2015. From there, I worked at the children's school at Weber State. And then in 2017, I took a pause on working in the field, where I welcomed my first child into my home. In 2019, I began working at a local preschool as the toddler teacher and worked there until COVID-19 and the pandemic hit in 2020. And then during that time, I welcomed my second child into my home and my third in 2022. And in 2024, I decided to return back to the field and got hired with Jump for Joy Preschool as a preschool teacher. And then in 2025, the position opened up to start teaching kindergarten. And this is the position I'm teaching currently. And I love learning with all the students, and it's an absolute passion of mine. And I prefer to spend all the time that I can with them.
Thank you, Tara. So if you missed my intro, I tend to be pretty bubbly and energetic. And so what we're trying to do right now is to kind of show the difference between, hopefully you were able to see the difference between our intros and just being a little bit more
disconnected versus connected.
Yeah. And just bringing in that energy, right? Because that always kind of can change the outcome, and it affects everyone around you. Pam, if you have not had a chance, I'd love to know what your position is currently and how long you've been doing that. And anyone else who's come in and joined us, please tell us, let us know like what your position is and how long you've been doing that position, just so that we know what to target more. So we're going to start. I'm going to go ahead and share our slide deck really quick. There we go. Hopefully everyone can see that. Okay. Okay, if you cannot see our slide deck, please let me know. Okay.
And can we see our chat too?
Yeah. All right. Okay. This 1 second, we just lost our screen. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to reshare it. Give me 1 second. Lost it. Okay, here we go. It keeps disappearing. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we just wanted to start talking about what is connection and what that really looks like. connection, it's a sense of belonging, right? A closeness where you and others feel seen, valued, and important. It's so valuable for our children to be able to see this and feel this, because it helps them to feel safe and secure and be confident in who they are. And so really, that's what we're going to be talking about today, that connection's this invisible thread that links us and teachers and students and families, and why that is so important.
Yeah. So as a director, I realized that a lot of it falls on us. So a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to work with a school in Arizona and work on their help with their curriculum and also a little bit of staff training. And during that time, when I met with the director, one of the things that she expressed was her frustration about the fact that she felt like the teachers were not as engaged. They weren't doing their part. They were calling in sick constantly and just not doing all the things that she felt that they should do. And so when I was able to go and just observe all the teachers, and I thought they were doing a wonderful job, but I had the opportunity to talk to them and meet with them and meet with her director. She said, well, what they all kind of expressed was that they felt like the owner was detached from the preschool, and that was causing a lot of the issues. And so how do we do that? How do we fix it? How do we make it better? So I'm going to share a little story with you. So I don't know if you guys are Disney lovers. I am a total Disney lover. And so so I was on a Disney cruise. So we had 3 little boys, and we had 3 little boys, and oh, thank you. And here we are going on our first cruise, and we get on the ship, and we see like a sea of people in white uniforms, and they welcome us, and they're like, "Welcome, Charlesworth family." And at that moment, I literally felt like VIP. And it just kept going that way. We go in and we meet our room host, comes and greets us. And when we get to dinner, the waiters were so fantastic. And every day they would have my Diet Coke waiting and the chocolate milk waiting for my son and my other children. And they would ask us about our day and how it went. They knew us all by names. What was so great about that, as we continued to go throughout the years, like they would recognize us and they would recognize me, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're back. We're so excited to see you." And I was just so shocked and so impressed by that. Well, a few years later, my husband and I decided to go on a cruise on a different cruise line. And we get on the ship, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say I didn't even realize that we were on the ship. And we're looking around, and there's really no one to let us know where to go or answer any questions. We go get a Diet Coke. It took 3 tries until someone was able to actually help me. Everyone just kept putting me out to the next person. And so we get to dinner, and we're super excited for dinner. And we're like, okay, this is going to be like, this is the moment, right? And we get there, and the waiter barely greets us, takes our order. And basically that's the way the rest of the week went. So my question to you is, are you going to be Disney, or are you going to be the other guy? So how do we do that? As a director, the first thing that it starts with is in the hiring process. I make sure that that our teachers are a part of that, and they are able to share their opinions and be a part of the hiring process along with anyone that we're interviewing. And that's a big deal to me, just because even though I get to hire them, they are the ones who work with them day in and day out. So it's important that they all get along and they are able to have a connection and a friendship. And so that's a really important thing to me. The other thing I look at too is just really how they make me feel, right? I really go a lot by that, is how they make me feel, because the way they make me feel ultimately is how they're going to make others feel. And so that's a really big deal to me. So if they're talking ill about a previous employer, that's a really big red flag for me. So that's something I steer away from. And then also just being able to share with them our goals as a school. And what is also a big deal to us is having someone that makes us better. And that's something that I'm pretty sure all of our teachers can attest to, because I've said the same thing to all of them, is that we want to add someone to our team that makes us better and contributes equally to us. And then also being able to make sure that we recognize and appreciate the teachers for all those small moments. And I get that as a director, that's super hard, right? Because you wear so many hats, you're doing so many things, you're bouncing around from one room to the other. And I get that that can be stressful, but we also have to be able to be present and be in the moment and be intentional in the things that we're doing and be able to take notice of when we see teachers doing great things, which is constant, right? But we want to make sure that we're making mental notes of that and sharing that with them either at that moment, later on in the day, sending them a text message and be like, hey, I just love how you did that today. I just want you to know that I saw that. Or possibly like in staff meetings, that's something that I'll also bring up. We're constantly telling our students, right, or our teachers, that we want to make sure that our students are seen and they're heard, but are we doing that for our teachers as well? Are we seeing them? Are we listening to what their needs are? So we want to just make sure that we're recognizing them and appreciating them. So like a quick little example is that this was this week actually, we had an excavator brought in on Tuesday. Well, Monday morning, one little guy walks in, and the first thing he asks for is, are the trucks here? And we're like, oh no, that's tomorrow. And it just so happens that he doesn't attend school on those days. So he wasn't going to be able to be here. So, I just carried on about my day, didn't think about it. And then the next morning, one of our teachers sends me a message and says, hey, is there any way we can invite this little guy to come in today for the excavator? He really wanted to see it and he was really excited about it. And so sure enough, I sent out a text and they said yes, and they brought him in. And when I came to school, I was like, thank you so much for thinking of him. That was not something that I crossed my mind, but I appreciate so much that you thought of it, and you not only did you think of it, but you acted on it. And so it's things like that we all want to make sure that we all want to be seen. We all want to be recognized in those moments, right? And those are the things that I think help us to grow and help us to become better teachers and to step into that role even harder. And then also just being able to make sure that we are able to collaborate together and celebrate those moments and have good teamwork. There's lots, like for me, ultimately the curriculum is mine, right? I've put everything together, but constantly teachers are always saying, hey, is it okay if I do this? Is it okay if I bring that? And I'm always like, sure, I love it, and it allows them space to be themselves and to contribute and bring a part of them into the classroom. And that helps to create connection for them and those students.
Yes. And we want to just take a minute. If you, we originally had wanted to do this as a breakout, but our session's not going to allow us to do that. So if you'll just put in the chat, we'll open up the chat up for a minute and just maybe write or jot down something that a director or a mentor in your life has done that has helped you feel supported.
Yeah. So we'll give you guys just a couple of minutes if you guys can just jump on there really quick and then just kind of tell us, like she said, something that a director or mentor has done to make you feel supported.
Yes.
Oh.
Give them just a minute.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll start seeing it pop up in our chat. I can kind of talk while you're writing too about what I've seen at our school.
Oh, yeah.
Jackie, she asked for my opinion a lot, and she'd be like, what do you think about this? And at times I'm like, I don't know what I think about it, but it does always make me, in the long run, and when I reflect back on that, it does make me feel important, and it does make me feel of value. And she's always expressing gratitude for us teachers, like, thank you for being here, thank you so much for doing this or bringing this in. I think that was such an awesome thing, or look how awesome that is. And it helps me feel a value, and it does help me feel seen. And it does help me feel like I belong here at Jump for Joy. And so, yeah, that's kind of my experience that I've seen. Anyone has anything else to share, but kind of along the lines with that, we were the other day looking at my picture from, it looks like we have a comment in our chat, so let me pull that back up. But, okay, Lindsay said, allowing me time to grow and try new things so I can grow from my experiences. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a big part. This conference that we're doing is something new for both of us. And, you know, it may have not gone exactly the way we thought, but I think we're still like going to look back and be grateful that we did it, because it's allowing us to grow, just like Lindsay said. So I love that. Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing. And we appreciate that. So yes, we're going to jump into teachers, the heartbeat of connection. So along with that, like I was saying, we had pulled up pictures from my first year teaching here, and then we just got our pictures back from last month. And you can see a difference in my face. And Jackie mentioned, she's like, you're just so different now. You've changed so much. And reflecting on like, what did change in me? And I really think it's that I found this sense of belonging and this sense of purpose here at school. And it's built this confidence in me, and it's helped me learn and grow. And that is exactly the goal that we want for each child. We want them to come to school and feel like they belong here, that that this is a safe place for them to be themselves and find the confidence in them, and that they can learn. And so some of the ways that we do that are that we greet every child by name. And we want them to feel like they belong here, and that this is a second home to them. And then once, you know, we learned their names, we move to the parents' names, and we move to the siblings' names. And we really get to know who they are and their family. And we build belonging through routines. And so when they come in, we give them an opportunity to share what's been happening at home, and just giving them an opportunity to share what they did last night, or in their extra time, or over the weekend, and what they would like to see happen at school that day, or what do they want to do at school, and just giving them those opportunities to really get to talk to us and share, rather than just coming right in and starting a lesson. And then we create these joyful, literacy-rich learning experiences. You know, when we give them an opportunity to connect with us as teachers and have one-on-one time with us, and get to learn with us, and giving them that individual time. Like we'll pull them aside and read with them, or work on a goal that they are working on. And so it's fun, and they love it. They don't dread it, they love it. And so, you know, some of the stressful parts of a school day are that we have these transitions, and that can be stressful to children, we know. And so we want to make sure that we take those opportunities and make those joyful too, make those times that they can share what they're liking about the day, or what take an opportunity to play a rhyming game, or just have fun in those transitional moments. And so something that we wanted to talk about is how you guys connect with children. It looks like we have maybe a comment from our last thing, and from Pam. Help me develop as a professional and leading my projects confidently. So I love that, because that's a big part of a director and a mentor's part, is helping us develop as professionals and helping us lead those projects. So thank you, Pam, so much for sharing that. So before we move in, we're going to do that again. If you'll drop a note in our chat of how you build connections with your students during transitions or routines. And we'll try to give you a minute more before we move in. Maybe we move too quickly.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience for us right now. So
yeah, I just figured you just start writing, but obviously you have to think about it for a second before you.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
So
yeah.
And maybe I can repeat the question too. I know I could even drop that in the chat.
Yeah.
That's
great.
That's probably to visually see it. How do you build connection during transitions or routines?
All right. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys and see what's fun things you do to help create that. I know I see a lot of times when our kids are kind of waiting to switch over and transition to another classroom, one of our teachers, she'll always come out and she'll like lean down and she'll look at all of them and be like, okay, are you so excited to go to the next room? And she'll just talk to them. And it's just so fun because all their little eyes light up and they're just all focusing on her. And she's just giving them that time in that minute to like connect with them. And before they move on to the next class, or just they're reflecting on like, either I'll hear things like they'll ask, okay, so tell me what your favorite thing was that we just did in class, or what do you think you're going to go do in science class next? And they're just all so excited to kind of share with her. And that's just such a great opportunity to be able to connect with your kiddos.
Looks like we have a comment. I take time to listen to them.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. And that's just exactly what we're sharing. Like you're taking time to listen to them. And that's such a huge thing. I love to see our teachers get down at their eye level and see them that way. I think that's such a huge thing. That's something like for sure as a director, like when I do a tour, that and they bring their children with them, that the very first thing I do is before I even greet the parent, I greet the student. And I get down at their level and I talk to them. And then I get up and I introduce myself to their parents. Because at the end of the day, that is our number one priority.
Yeah, absolutely. That's honestly, they, we're going to say a lot of stuff and they're not going to remember everything we taught them, but they will remember how we made them feel. And if we listen to the important things that they had to say. So that is huge, huge, huge. Thank you, Pam, so much for sharing that. So, we're going to move into this discussion about our students and where the connection actually becomes a learning thing. So when our students feel safe and calm and they feel confident that they can be themselves, they are going to start asking questions and they are going to start exploring, and they're going to start sharing things with us and they're going to start being themselves and being silly. And that's right where we want them to be. And that's right where we want their brain to be, so that we can start connecting with their personal lives and connecting it to the information that we are sharing with them. Because when we connect what's in their personal lives to what we are sharing, that's when the learning deepens. What's happening in their world, what they're experiencing. Oh, it looks like we have a comment really quick too. Lindsay said, I pay attention to my students' interests and make connections through things we have in common. I want them to know that I'm invested in their lives and the things that they care about. And that's exactly what we're talking about, because when we connect with them and what they have in common with what we're experiencing, that's why some people say that they struggle with small talk. And it's like, but that's where connection happens. It begins in small talk, because let's say you're talking about the weather. That's something that you're both sharing and that you're both connecting about. And that's something that you have in common. And so that's going to fuel that so that you can deepen the conversation. And that's essentially what we're talking about here, that we can deepen that learning because we are sharing something that they have in common with their personal lives and tying it into their learning. And so thank you, Lindsay, also for sharing that. So let's talk about some strategies for a minute about what we can do to deepen this learning and tie connection to their learning. One of the things that we do is we ask their opinion. Christmas time's coming up. A great way to just like in a fun and casual conversation is maybe ask them, I have kids at home, so I could ask them like, what should I buy my kids for Christmas? What do you think they might like? I have a boy, he likes trucks. What do you think? What cool trucks are on the market? And this helps them feel important, that we value their opinion. Asking their opinions they love it and they eat it up. They love being able to share and being like, oh, teacher's asking me a question, Also, show and tell, and there's various ways to do it. The way that we're doing it this year at school, they're calling it tiny teachers. And so they bring something from home that has to do with like our science theme of what we're learning that week. And they get to show us why they brought that from their house and how it ties into what we're learning at school. And it's giving them that opportunity to be seen, to be heard, to be a leader to their peers. And so what we're doing essentially there is taking their personal lives and connecting it to the learning. So what a great way to do that. And then, you know, we also have those students that are having a bad day and they're not going to be in their best self to want to learn that day. They're not going to maybe want to sit down and write their name. And so taking the time to really show them that empathy and be like, you know what, that's okay, that we can set that aside for now, that we can take the time and pause our day for a minute to really sit with them and where they're at and help them, you know, be seen and heard, and that, you know, hopefully help them to be happier and that they can then move on from their day and be their best selves.
And, you know, I'm not going to lie, doing that on a daily basis, it can be really hard a lot of times, especially because we are human. We have our own lives and we have a lot going on, you know, at home or whatever. And so sometimes that can be challenging, but it's very important that when we're working with our little ones, that we are being intentional in our actions and in our words, because really that's what we're there for, right? I know, like, I did a little experiment, I think it was like last week, knowing that I was going to be talking about this. And so I was working with a little guy and we're working on letters. And I noticed, like, I was like kind of zoning out a little bit, and I'm watching them and they're just like not really engaged in what they're doing. They're just kind of doing the next letter and not really into it. And so I caught myself and I was like, oh, okay. So I was just, you know, watching that happen. And then I stopped and I kind of sat up in my chair and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And it was so great because as soon as I did that and I shifted my energy, they did the exact same thing. They completely mirrored me. And they're like, oh, and then they're like, oh, that's T and that's P. And all of a sudden they knew all sorts of things. And it's amazing when they see that we're paying attention and we're excited for them, how excited they get. So that's why I say it's so important to make sure that we're present, that we're in the moment, that we're intentional in our words and our behavior, because they feed off of that. If we become monotone, robotic, and we're just going through those motions of the day because our head is elsewhere, the kids are going to pick up on that and they're going to mirror that. So sometimes we're all guilty of it. We've all done it, but it's good to stop and kind of catch that. But it was really interesting. I challenge you, like, this next week, do that really quick and see if you notice a shift in their behavior as well.
Yeah, I even did that like in my personal life and, you know, just in all my relationships. And it was just interesting to be aware of what I was bringing to those relationships, how I was making people feel because of where my head was at. And so it looks like we have a comment. So I'm going to pull that up really quick. Oh, Lindsay says, I agree. Attitudes are caught, not taught.
Oh, I love that. That's so cute. I love that. And that is exactly true. And so with you saying that, it brings me to our first day of school. So, you know, like I said earlier, you know, the director sets the emotional tone for the school. And so at the beginning of the school year, for whatever reason, I was feeling a little bit disconnected. I'm not sure if the word overwhelmed is the correct word, but I just was not fully there. And I kept saying, I just can't believe school is starting. This is so weird. It doesn't feel like school is starting. And then what happened was I noticed everyone was saying that, like the whole staff was saying that. And they kept saying, they're like, yeah, I just feels weird. I can't believe school is starting. I'm like, why are we all feeling this way? In fact, at one point, I think I even said that to one of the teachers. It's so weird that all of us are feeling this way. And I recently mentioned it to you when we were talking about this. I said to you, well, do you remember that moment? And she does.
100% do.
And then I said, it was me. I created that. And I think you were pretty surprised to hear that, you know, and I said, I created that. And I had to shift my mind and be like, stop, and then bring back that energy. And then I felt like everything kind of settled down and we all settled back into our space. But for a minute, the energy was just off in all of us. And I'm glad that I caught it. And I think I caught it shortly after like school started. But yeah,
and then everything went back to normal and we got into routine and everything went smoothly after that. But yeah, I mean, you just don't realize. And like every part of me, when you shared that, was wanted to be like, no, it wasn't you. But honestly,
Mhm.
I mean, like thinking about it, it's like, yeah, we all do bring feelings
Mhm.
and it does affect everyone
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And it's just like in the home, right? Like
Mhm.
you create that emotional tone in your home when, right? If you're having a stressful day, the kids cry more, they're a little bit more ornery. No different in preschool, right? We do the same thing. If we're coming in a certain mood, we're going to affect our students. And, as a result, it's going to affect their learning. They're not going to be engaged. They're not going to want to do the things. And then we're getting frustrated and it's just a cycle. And so as the role models in that classroom, we need to make sure that we are presenting ourselves in our best form.
Yes. And so, speaking of that connection, we are going to kind of move into the home connection a little bit. And that is every bit as important. And it's just like what we were talking about, tying that personal life, getting to know their families. And so Jackie's going to share a little bit about that and the strategies we use to connect with families.
Yeah. So one of the things that I tell parents when they come through our tours and I have the opportunity to speak with them is that it's not just participants of our preschool, but they're partners with us. So if there's ever an issue or something that's happening, it's important to us that they communicate that with us, because I always say we can't fix something if we don't know that it's broken. So it's really important that we're constantly communicating with them and letting them know how things are going. A lot of schools, I think, use different apps, right, for communication. We use Brightwheel. And so every Sunday on my end, I send out a message of everything that's happening for the week so that everyone knows, everyone's on the same page, everyone knows what's going on. And then on a daily basis, our teachers send pictures, they send videos, they send comments about how their kids are doing. Our kindergarten teachers always have the opportunity to drop off and pick up to quickly say, oh my gosh, she did so great at writing her name today, or you can't believe what she read today, or whatever. And so we never want parents to feel like they don't know what's going on. And so we're always constantly communicating. I feel like I can say with 100% of surety, the majority of our parents know what it is that we're working on in preschool, or at least they have access to it if they don't know off the top of their head. But that's a really important thing to us, that we're constantly communicating with them and letting them know how their little kids are doing. And honestly, as a parent, don't you want to hear that? Don't you want to feel that your children are so loved by their teachers? One of the things, kind of like with the Disney thing, because I really did kind of use that in preschool when I started it, was that I wanted to make everyone feel like they're special. And I want every kid to feel like, or every parent to feel like their child is our favorite one and their family is the most special. And I've actually had parents say that to me. They're like, okay, I know, tell me honestly, right? Like, we're your favorite, right? And so then I think to myself, yeah, we've done our job. If that's how they're feeling, we've done our job. So I will share like a little tidbit with you that I've done. That's a little bit of cheating. So do not share this with other people because I don't want the secret to go out. But one of the things that I've done, so we do what's called a preschool preview in May. That allows all the little guys to come in. It helps to reduce anxiety and stress because they've heard of school, but they don't know they may not know what that actually means. And so that gives them an opportunity for them to kind of see what preschool is like, and it allows us an opportunity to kind of get to know the little personalities. And so they come in for an hour without mom and dad, and we do like a mini preschool day. So when they come in, I have name tags for all the kids. And on the back of the name tags, I actually will write the mom's name. So when they come in, I'll be like, oh, who is this? And they'll say, oh, Timmy, hi, Timmy, how are you? Oh, you must be Mary, his mom. And she'll look at me and she'll be like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, that's my job. And they're always so impressed by that. And like, even back to school, we'll do like a grid with all the kids' names and the child's name and the parents' name. Same reason. So that when we have our back to school night, we are able to greet most people by their names. And so these are things that, they're little cheat sheets, but they go a long way because, again, we're making our people, our families feel valued. They're making us, even though we have 100 students, that's so hard, but we really like try to make an effort to make sure that we're able to connect with everyone and really feel like they feel special in our eyes. And honestly, like, we want this to be a place where they feel safe, they feel loved, they feel seen, they feel heard. And to do that, we have to take the time to get to know them, to have conversations with them, to get at their level, to meet them where they're at. So a couple of weeks ago, we had this, and we had a little boy who we got a message. Unfortunately, they had gotten into a car accident on the way to preschool. And so mom sent us a note letting us know that he he would be there. And about 10 minutes later, we get another message from dad saying, never mind, he really wants to come. We're going to bring him in. And we're just like, wow, that's so crazy that he still wants to come to preschool with all of that. But, you know, at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want to create? We want to create a space where these kids are so excited to come that they don't care that they just got into a car accident. They still want to be at preschool, or they don't want to leave. I know you guys have a kindergartner that she leaves early a couple times a week. And every time she leaves, her mom, she doesn't want to go. Yeah. And so that's, you know, that says so much about them and what they've created in their classrooms, that the kids feel so safe and so loved, that they want to stay there. Nothing makes me happier. And I see this all the time on a daily, minute by minute basis, where these little guys are constantly running up to teachers and hugging them and telling them how much they love them. And, you know, especially sometimes with those harder personalities, our theory is to, like, the harder they are, the more we love them. And what we've learned through that is that they just need to feel safe and they need to feel loved regardless of their behavior. And we know that that has gone such a long way for them, because we have seen the change in them, where they've come in reluctant and upset and angry and hitting and pushing and not wanting to listen, to being attached at the hip to our teachers and hugging them and loving on them and just feeling so safe and loved. And really, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing to us, because that's when learning gets to happen, is when they feel that trust.
So one of my favorite things that we do to connect with families, because sometimes we'll have these parents, you know, that are more quiet and more shy, and it's like, how are we going to connect with them? One of the ways that we do, or we use like field trips or special moments. We'll have like a special activity at school or something, and where the parents get to come, and we have the parents sit with their children. You can kind of see actually a picture on our screen right there of Muffins for Moms. That's a special event we do at school. And so anyway, but at the field trip, it was a goal. We intentionally invited all the parents to come with their children so that they could be chaperones of their children. And what that did is it gave the opportunity for us as teachers to be able to go around and talk to each parent, especially those that are more quiet or we hadn't had the opportunity to connect with. And so we would seek them out and we would talk with them about the positive things that we loved about their children, and just use the opportunity to get to know them and their family. And so I love that, because I look forward to it every single year. I look forward to these events because we get to know the child and their personal lives. I know I have a friend who works at the elementary school, and her school allows her to do home visits. And so, and same thing, it gives her the opportunity to go into that child's home. And she says it's life-changing for her as a teacher to be able to know where that child's coming from and what the culture looks like at home. And so we can celebrate that and bring that into our school. And so, you know, we work together with families through that. So we want to give you the opportunity to maybe jot down or think about, even it might be too long to write out like a whole experience in the chat, but maybe what are some things that are important to you in a successful parent partnership? We can write that down in the chat again, so you can see, you can kind of think of that. Oh my. I cannot. I'm down lower, so yeah. I'm like trying to see type. So what are some examples of successful
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys and sharing some of those moments of successful parent partnerships. But definitely, I think it's definitely important not just to have those moments, like you said, to connect with our little guys, but it's also important that we make those connections with the families. Because that's really like it's a part of our community, and being able to have that, like it's like, at least for me on a business standpoint, it's been crucial because they are my walking billboards, right? They come to us year after year. We have families here of like cousins that come, and it's like a web of relatives that come through here. And it's, once again, it's because of how we make them feel that they enjoy being here. Well, I lost my mouse. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So how does this like all work together, right? Like I said before, it has to start at the top with our director or whoever it is, the leadership, and how
Got a
1
comment.
second.
So Lindsay says, it's important to me that not only my students feel part of our school family, but their parents and siblings feel part of our school family. We should celebrate success and comfort in times of need, of needs. Yes.
Yeah. And that's exactly kind of what we were just talking about, right? Not just with our students, but like connecting to the families themselves and the parents. And, sometimes we tend to gravitate to those who are our friends, right? Or people who are just a little bit more outgoing. But like she was saying earlier, make it a point to go out to those that are quiet, those that are a little bit shy, and try to develop those relationships with them. And it's really amazing how far that goes with those families who tend to be a little bit on the quieter side, because they're usually not sought out. And so when you make an effort to go out and call them by name and sit and chat with them, it really is an impactful moment for them, for all of us, honestly.
Pam says, as the director of a university program, I don't work with children, but with adults age 18 to 50 plus. But the experience is the same. They too need to feel like they are part of the university. Absolutely, Pam. And that's, you probably relate a lot to Jackie and her experiences, because she's still working with the children, but not as much. A lot of her work is working with the adults and the families. And so, and that's what she's going to talk about here, how it's all connected to each other, and we're all a community, and it's very important that we all feel connected to make that system flow. So, and it looks like we have one more comment here. Oh yes, I do. She says, yeah,
for sure. And yeah, Pam, I think that is probably the biggest thing, is like seeking out those that probably don't feel like they want to be sought out. But I realized through the years of seeking those out, usually those that are the quietest have the most to share and the most that I gain from. And I've actually been able to make great friendships and connections with those who usually kind of stand in the back. And you probably have had the same experience, I'm assuming, with working with adults, right? And yeah, I think that's always something that I make a point before we go to these field trips. I will make a mental note to myself of who it is that I'm going to target that day. And it's those quiet ones. I'll make sure to say hi to all the ones that are friends and all of those guys and give them a minute of my time. But usually I seek out those that I know are not going to seek me out, that they're going to be on the quieter, they're the ones in the back. And so I just always make it a point. And, it's been surprising because honestly, I've had times where parents have said, oh, I didn't even know that you knew my name. Because even as adults, we have those insecurities, and we have those same like moments of knowing like, oh, they're the popular parents, they're the cool parents, they're the ones who get all the attention. And so like I said, I always make it a point to seek out the quiet ones and make connections with them. And honestly, that has probably been the most rewarding, because it's easy to make connections with, those who are a little bit more outspoken. But those guys are the ones who really appreciate your time. So like I said, it's a ripple effect, right? I come in in a bad mood, it's going to affect everyone. So that's just not something that I can allow to happen. I walk in the building, and typically, I'm always coming in crazy. I'm not going to lie. I'm always coming in hot for a lot of the time, but always with hopefully lots of energy. And I make it a point to go around and greet everyone and say hi to everyone and give hugs to all our little friends. And just take the time to do that before I even put anything away, because I normally come in with boxes and bags and I drop everything and I just hurry and say hi to everyone before I put things away. And sometimes things sit there for a little bit longer than I would like, just because it's important to me that I take that time to say hi, especially on a Monday. I shared with Tara recently, I was out of town. Now, mind you, I was only out of town for 2 days, but there was one day that was no school. So it was Thursday, Friday, Monday. And I felt like I'd been gone a week. I felt so disconnected from everyone. I was just so happy to be back. And even though we all need those moments of having a break, I realize how much I miss it and how much I feel I have like serious FOMO for one. And two, I hate feeling that feeling of disconnection. And so I love being here just for that reason, just to have the time to like, hey, how was your day? Oh, how was your weekend? Or what did you do today? Or like, what's going on? And not just with the kids, but with the teachers as well, right? Like, hey, what's been going on? And how's so-and-so? And how are you doing with this? And just making sure that you are being intentional once again in the conversations that you have with your staff and with parents and teachers, all of it, right? So like I said, it's not just a step, but it's a system. It's a system that you have to incorporate into your daily life at preschool, at school. So it starts with me. My energy is going to be reflected into my teachers, right? Because then my teachers, I'm going to walk in with my craziness, and then they're going to be like, oh, and they kind of do like what I said earlier. They kind of sit up and everyone's like, oh yeah. And we pass on that excitement to our students. And then those students are running out that door full of excitement and telling them all the things that they did at preschool that day. So really, it really is this like amazing ripple effect that goes throughout that we want to create on a daily basis. And is it easy? Not always, right? But is it necessary? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to your experience, when you weren't here, it's not that things don't flow smoothly. Everything flowed just fine, and it's fine without you, but we don't have that intentional reminder to like, oh, yeah, I need to be here and I need to be present. And so when you are here and you do bring that, it just adds so much more. And it's just such a positive experience. And so it's really important. Directors are so important because, and like in a university setting, like with Pam, it's like when I was a student at a university, those mentors and those directors, those professors, they were absolutely critical to me. Like I wouldn't have survived without them because they were the one leading me and teaching me and teaching me what I needed to implement in the classroom. So yeah. Very, very important. It is a system, a true system. So we are going to talk we're getting towards the end of our presentation. So we're going to talk a little bit, it's a little bit of review, but that connection in action, that system in action. So Jackie's our director. She does morning check-ins with each teacher. She celebrates what's going well that week with us, kind of like she was saying, reminding us to be intentional and feeding us that positive energy so that we can give that energy to our students. And then, the teacher starts with greetings with each student and making them feel welcome and giving them opportunities to share and give us a little bit of their making it personal. And then that student, then with students, we are modeling it to them, being a model of being respectful and inclusive. With young children, it looks like, cooperative play and making those connections when we're sharing things, making those connections for them. Like, oh my goodness, your favorite color is pink. Remember this favorite student's color is pink as well. You guys have that same thing in common, and making that connection together and really focusing on kindness and making it intentional and helping them through that and modeling. We can't talk enough about that. But
I think with that, because we are so great at letting our kids know what they need to be doing, but we need to stop and think, are we doing those same behaviors? Are we doing that? And so if we want our children to be kind, our students to be kind, we need to show kindness. We want them to use calm voices. We need to be calm. So all of that, like they're looking at us. And so we're needing to make sure that we're constantly aware of our behavior and that we're being good role models for them.
Yes. And then with our parents, family literacy engagement events, throughout the whole day, we're sending them pictures, we're sending them messages, we're giving them opportunities to engage with their children's learning. We give them their lesson plans, our lesson things that we're working on, access to songs that we're singing at school, so that if their student goes home and they want to share that with their family, then they are able to. They have access to that. And so
I think with dealing with adults, it's really no different because we all want to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
So you may not be sending pictures or anything like that, but it's taking the time to know that letting them know that you really truly know them by doing follow-ups. And for example, like, you know, if someone mentions, oh, this happened, like the next time you see them, oh, so how did that go for you? Like, how was like we have a mom who, one of your kinder moms or the morning moms, she is getting a new job. And so we constantly, every time I see her, I'm like, oh, so how did it go? Did you finally get the job? Like, we need to go celebrate. We have to celebrate you. And you know, she gets so excited every time we talk to her and we ask her, because we remember and we make that a point. And so, you know, it's no different with adults. You know, we also as adults want to be seen and we want to be heard, not just little people, but we need that as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there's your people.
I know, there are
Those are her
my
girls.
girls. I love them. So we just want to kind of wrap things up by having you guys drop in the chat what's one connection you want to strengthen starting tomorrow, whether it's like in your personal lives or in your teaching or what you want to do differently. I know, you know, after this, I was like, man, I really want to be aware of what I'm presenting to other people in all my relationships. And just really being intentional about what I'm bringing into my classroom. And so, yeah, take a minute to think and drop in the chat what is something that maybe we've inspired you to think about or strengthen in your relationships starting tomorrow. The power of us is what turns classrooms into communities and learning into lifelong success.
We want to thank all of you for your time today. I know Saturdays can be difficult, especially at 11 a.m. I know a lot of things are going on right now, but thank you so much for your time and your comments. We have so much enjoyed being able to put this together and share our experiences with you. And hopefully it's been helpful and you've been able to gain something from what we shared with you today. Like she said, if there's something that you want to share with us or something that your takeaway from today, hopefully there was some takeaway for you if you want to share that with us before we go. Otherwise,
we put handouts in the presentation that have these strategies that we talked about. You know, the connection to staff members, to students, to parents. So those are in there too. So you have access to those. Looks like we have a comment in our chat from Pam. I'm presenting next about the program building Fuentes, education for adult learners.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Building Fuentes.
Yes, that's exciting. Okay.
That's so cool, Pam. All right. Well, we're going to have to tune in to that.
I know.
I love that.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck. Yes. No, honestly, it was way better than I was anticipating because we were very nervous, but I feel like it was fun.
We were so
lots of fun. And they did change this on us because it was supposed to be
like
a meeting. It was a meeting.
Yeah.
And so the meeting was interactive and now they changed it, but it was still so great.
Lindsay says, I want to focus on the simple joys in life and help my students and their families feel accepted and loved just the way they are.
I love that.
Love that, Lindsay.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough of that.
Yes. We're so happy that that's what you took away.
Love it.
We honestly were so grateful for this time that we've had. It's been a good learning experience for us, and
it has,
we're grateful for that. And so,
And Pam, are you like is it on this or is it, because it looked like it said Weber State?
Yeah, is that her link? Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, EDU. Oh, sorry. I thought I read that wrong. That was me. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, then for sure we'll have to plug in and give you our support right back. Oh, and there's one more.
And Elisa, I want to focus on being in the moment and not trying to rush to the next moment. Yeah, that's super important.
Yeah.
It's hard because there's only so much time in the day. I feel that all the time.
Yes.
And it's like I do rush. I know I rush through my day.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this just being intentional and just being and remembering that what we're saying and what we're teaching may not be the most important. It's really how we're making them feel. So
Exactly.
if we're rushing, they're
Yeah.
gonna feel that angst from us.
And honestly, yeah, like she said, it's how you make them feel. Like they might remember, they're gonna remember some of those like standout activities or things like that, field trips. Over the years, right, I've run into students and oh yeah, I remember when we did the egg hunt, or remember this. But at the end of the day, like she said, they remember how you make them feel. This year I got to attend a wedding of a preschooler, and which was crazy, but I've been with them, like I see their family, but I actually had another invitation from a student I have not seen since preschool. Like I don't have like a relationship with their family. And she said, I just want you to know you've always been her favorite teacher, which was wild to me because it was preschool, but again, it's about making them feel a certain way, making them feel like they remember, oh, she just loved me so much. She thought I was the greatest. She thought I was her favorite student. And creating that so much so that 18 years later, they still remember you and think of you. And that really is just such a wonderful moment for us. But thank you, all of you, for being here, participating, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye. Oh, we can allow people to talk.